quite a few months ago now, I turned down sleeping with a girl because I felt that at that point in time, I was too fat. I was a little piglet. So what was happening was I was texting this girl, and without coming across too rude or making it raucous, things were happening, things were being said back and forth. But and trust, it was exciting. I was enjoying myself. I was having a good time, but there was this little voice in the back of my head eating away at me saying, don't go around, and don't have her around here, because you are in no physical position to be doing anything with a girl right now. And in fairness, that voice in the back of my head wasn't entirely false, because at that point I didn't even like looking in the mirror. I specifically, I'm sure you've done this too, bro, where you specifically grow out a beard purely because you started noticing that your jawline was disappearing, and where you've been eating so much or eating the wrong things, your cheeks are getting bigger. And only fat people know this, man. This is a weird thing to be talking about. But when you're big, the only way to hide the fact that you're big, at least in the face, is to grow your beard out. So big to the point that it's kind of hard to tell if you've got a beard. At least to you. I mean, to everyone else, they can still tell that you're fat, that you're a little pig. But at least to yourself, you feel a bit less self-conscious. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I wasn't always fat. And so far this month, I've already lost a stone. So things are going well. But I think there's a really terrible false belief going around, especially in the UK and America right now. And so many people, like my mum is terrible for this. My dad is also terrible for this. I think a lot of older people are worse for this. I think young people are starting to wake up to it, but you're going to know exactly what I mean as soon as I say it. What is the point in the word dieting? The idea of dieting to people, at least in the modern age, sounds like, what are the negative connotations that come along with it? You feel like it's hard work, it's a chore, that you're going to be in pain and you're going to be missing your favourite foods because you're dieting. Whereas you should feel really lucky when you eat clean. One, the fact that you can afford to buy healthy foods, or your parents can afford to buy you healthy foods and eat in that way. It's kind of disgusting, the fact that one, people view dieting as a negative, but two, that I'm sure a lot of you guys who may or may not be watching this are in a fairly alright financial situation despite what's going on in especially the UK right now. And you're still eating shit foods. And I'm not saying I'm above you, I'm literally in the same boat as you, I'm weaning off it right now. But I think this belief that so many people have about dieting and healthy foods being a negative thing, it needs to be changed. And also, I think, adding on to that, a big reason as to why I turned down that girl quite a while ago, it's going to sound weird and it might sound completely against what I've been talking about, but I don't think I turned her down because of my weight, the amount of fat I had around my stomach and face. The reason I turned her down was because the way I was eating. And I'll go into more detail about that soon, but obviously the title of the video says, 3 reasons why you look like the guy on the left, which is me about 7, 8, 9 months ago. I took that video. Embarrassing, terrible time. I felt awful. I'm going to take you through 3 things that you may not have even thought about before. And it's going to be very unconventional methods or reasons as to why you're fat. Let's just admit it, bro, you are fat right now. You wouldn't be on this video otherwise. So let's get straight into it. Number one, you don't log your weight, bro, do you? You hear so many things these days about, eating disorders and staying away from the scale and how the scale shouldn't dictate your success. And, there's valid arguments, and I do think that you shouldn't rely on the scale, the numbers on the scale for your happiness. I think it should be down to when you look in the mirror, when you turn the camera on and film yourself, how you look and how it makes you feel the way you look. But it's almost like this. Imagine this, and I doubt you've done this before, but I actually did used to do this in my diary, and it would get me down, but I'll explain why it was technically a good thing. Imagine this. Imagine having a notebook where every time you fed the geese, I'm going to let you put two and two together, with what that means. Every time you fed the geese in the day, maybe it's once a day, maybe it's once every other day, once a week, but every time you fed the geese, you wrote down in that book, I fed the geese today. Now, you can imagine writing that in a more vulgar term that your family would understand what it means. How embarrassed would you be, bro, to look back in that notebook and see the lines of terrible decisions you've just made? And I think it's a similar feeling. If anything, it's more powerful than that when you do it with your weight, logging your weight. About a month ago on the 16th of May, I opened up my notebook, I wrote down the date, and I weighed myself, I forced myself. I've been avoiding scales for months and months. I weighed myself, I was 90.6 kg, bro. I'm a short guy. That's dangerous, bro. That's bad. That's really bad. I can't even... One day I won't be able to fathom being at that number again. But it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. And do you know what I did the next day? I wrote down the date, which was the 17th of May, and I wrote my weight again. And I've done it nearly every single day since then. And you know what? This is the first time in over a year and a half where I've actually been able to consistently drop fat. And it's because, it's going to sound negative, but I think people like you and I need this. It's the shame that comes with seeing that number tangibly on that piece of paper and knowing that's you, bro. I felt terrible when I read that number. I knew I was around that number, but seeing it on the paper, the fact that I can pick up the book and I can read the fact that I'm 90.6 kg, made me feel a bit sick with myself. And it really shone a light on the fact that I look like the guy on the left in the thumbnail. You can avoid it as much as you want mentally. You can find ways to distract yourself from the fact that you're a fat git. But seeing it on the paper really exposes yourself to the truth. And doing that every day holds you accountable. And I'm not going to stop doing it, at least for the next month or so, because I found it's a really valuable tool. But that's only a small thing. So logging your weight is a great way of holding yourself accountable. Number two, this is going to be a interesting one, and I don't know if you've heard this before, bro, but it's something I was thinking about earlier while showering. You can tell I've got wet hair. Sugar. I bet you still eat sugar right now. Even when you try to cut out some bad stuff, I bet you still was having sugar in your tea or coffee, or on the weekends you'd have a cake or something. I don't know, wherever you like all those. Those little Biscoff things, they used to be my weakness. Apparently they're plant-based, but they put sugar in that, bro. I bet you like Biscoff as well if you're in the UK. Let me know if you know what Biscoff is. It's great stuff. Well, great stuff. I say that lightly, but it's actually really bad for you. In the mornings, and I still do sometimes, and that's important for this story because I really notice it even now. But in the mornings, every morning, I used to have shredded wheat, but the ones with the sugar on it, I don't know what that's called. Either that, the shredded wheat with lots of ice sugar on it, whatever it's called, or I'd have Cocoa Pops. But I don't know, well, you definitely feel the same way as me. Even if you was like, right, I'm going to have a certain amount of calories in these Cocoa Pops, I'm going to weigh it and everything, even if you went that extreme, you could have 300 something calorie Cocoa Pops and you will not feel satiated afterwards. It never happens. I've never had Cocoa Pops, finished it and thought, oh, I'm full. Like, this just never happened. It's literally never happened. Whereas on the other hand, I've started having eggs every morning. Usually 3 or 4. Apparently it's good for your testosterone. But that'll be a topic for another time. And it fills you up almost to a sickly level. It's kind of like when you chug a cake down your gob. But it feels healthy because it's clean, but you're satiated. And it had been so many months since I felt like that without feeling like I was a disgusting human being, because it was eggs, it's just clean, you know? I don't know the science behind this, but eating a lot of sugar, I believe, shuts off some sort of hormone or something in your body that tells you that you don't need to eat anymore. So the more sugary stuff you eat, essentially, the more you're going to want to eat. So even if you're trying to lose weight, bro, and you're eating sugary foods for one thing in the day, I think fruit is an exception. But other than that, you know, the terrible sugars, maybe even the refined carbs, this might fall into that category too. It just makes you want to eat more. And that's the reasons why it gets to midnight for you and you're thinking, oh, shit, gotta have a biscuit or a biscoff or something. That's why it's happening. It's because you're not eating clean. My eating habits right now primarily consists of eggs in the morning, chicken or fish throughout the day, some fruits and some grains. It's pretty healthy. I'm sure it could be better as well. I'm working on it still. It's still a work in progress, you know. I'm not above any of yous. Definitely not. I've been fat for a whole year, bro. Even longer. But I really notice now when I do decide to have normal cereal in the mornings, how much it sets up my day in a worse manner. So that's just something to think about. I would recommend just, if you can, cut out all the sugar. But if not, then just try to limit it as much as possible. But finally, I think I'm dragging on quite a lot now. Number 3 is a very unconventional reason why you look like me in the left of the thumbnail. It's because you nut bare hard. Don't know why I wrote it like that. I've got little notes on the thing. It's like a GCSEs when you're 16 years old. Got to write all these down and that sticking around your room. Anyway, yeah, you nut big time, bro. You big ones. Every day maybe, every other day, every week, 2 times a day, 3 times a day. I think you've experienced this as well, definitely, at some point. You've started a diet, but you're also nutting bare hard. You're feeding the geese on the daily or the sub-daily, fortnightly. I don't know what I'm saying. But, you know, it's late at night and you have a moment of weakness and you release your essence. What is this? My nan might be watching. No, my nan isn't watching this, but you've definitely experienced it in which once you've done that horrible thing, suddenly your brain's like, could do with some bad food right now. It's true, isn't it? That's happened to me quite a few times in the past, not recently. I don't do either of that now. But in the past, that definitely happened. I tried to diet. I may have even wrote my name down. I might have wrote the date down in my notebook and wrote the weight I am for 3 days already. This is the most quintessential point in this entire video. And it sounds weird because it almost comes across like it's got nothing to do with the fact you're fat, but it has everything to do with the fact you're fat. Why you're a fat pig right now. It's because you nut bare hard. I don't know the science entirely behind it, you can't quote me on this. But I know for a fact, at least with how my own body works, when you release in that way, sexually, it's the most powerful, potent experience you can have physically and emotionally, probably, apart from bliss. And you wonder why you can't stick to your delayed gratification afterwards. Obviously not. It's like having a chocolate cake and then deciding to try and meditate for half an hour afterwards. It's just not going to work, is it? You're going to be craving something else. So When you decide to experience the most powerful physical feeling a human can ever have, why you wouldn't have the strength to decide to keep going with your new eating habits? It's almost impossible, at least from my experience, to diet. Eat like a normal human would 500 years ago, whilst you're nutting bare hard. For me, I find it almost impossible. But on the other hand, if I'm not nutting bare hard and I decide to change my eating habits for the better, it's almost like I don't even have to think about it. It's like this new lifestyle choice of refraining from doing that thing to myself, the feeding of the geese. It's almost like it guides me with some sort of energy. I don't know what it is, but it guides me towards eating healthy. And I think these 3 things, bro, are the reason why you're still fat. Obviously there's more, and I'll probably do more stuff about this in the future because I'm quite interested in it. But these are the 3 things that have helped me so much recently. And if we go backwards from 1, 2, 3 to 3, 2, 1, I think in that order, that is how I'm getting the success that I'm getting. I've lost a stone in a month. I'm taking it slow on purpose because I don't want to rebound. I don't think I will rebound, but it's just a healthy way of losing weight. Number 3, you're nutting bare hard, which with number 2 is making you more okay with the idea of eating sugar. But eating sugar isn't satiating you. In fact, it's doing quite the opposite. It's making you even more hungry, which means you keep eating. And you're definitely not in this lifestyle that you've currently got, logging your weight every day. 3 things to do. 3 reasons why you look like me on the left of the thumbnail. You're nutting bare hard. Trust me, that's the worst one of all of them. You've still got sugar somewhere in your diet. And you're not logging your weight. If you do all of those 3 things, log your weight, retain your virya, your lively essence, and also stop eating sugar as much as you physically can, you will lose weight, you will drop weight. They are the 3 main things I've done this month, and I've lost a stone. And it's not even like it's difficult, bro. I just stopped doing it. As in, not nutting bare hard is difficult, but once you get into it, suddenly it feels easy. It's just something to think about, bro. It's just something that was on my mind whilst I was showering. So I thought I wanted to share it online because I think this will help some people. Kicking the shit out of you with the camera. That's an accident. Anyway, hope you're doing well, and I'll see you next time.